Hey Stampers, welcome to Brandy's Cards. So I know a lot of you are like, where in the world has Brandy Cox been? Well, I have been working for the last 2 months on my Pinehurst projects. Every year I've been doing an annual getaway, and I've got ladies that fly in from all over the country. It's super exciting, and I want to surprise them, and I want to have these fabulous projects for them. And so I have been working really hard on those projects. For those of you that ordered my 2012 Getaway magazine, I hope that you enjoyed it, and I thank you for that. 2013 is now available, so I'm really excited about this. This is our 2013. Speaking of that, all of the projects in here, I think I did a post on most of those, so you could see kind of a sneak peek on brandyscards.com. But on page 16, you'll see here that we featured our stamp set of the event was the Joyful Christmas stamp set by Stampin Up. And this is in our holiday catalog. So if you guys don't have a Stampin Up catalog, or you would like one, or a holiday catalog, just send me an email. I'd love to drop one in the mail to you. Love the opportunity to earn your business. Anyway, this was the stamp set that was featured at the Getaway. So I decided to do a couple different things with it, but one of them is we did a coaster. And a lot of the ladies have said to me, oh, why haven't we done coasters in a while? I want you to show me how to do that, because I love to give them as gifts. So I decided to pull out the coasters. It's a kind of an older technique. I've seen it lots and lots of different ways, lots of different ideas and ways to do it. But I'm going to give you my take on it. Okay, so what I've done here is I have gone to my local home improvement store, and I just bought some porous tiles. Now let me just tell you, so I needed 132 for my Stampin' Getaway. That's right, 132. So you think that it would be as easy as walking into Lowe's and saying, hey, I need 132 tiles. Yeah, let me tell you, that's not how it goes, because you want tiles that are, pretty smooth. You want tiles that have pretty edges. That you don't want it to be porous, because that's what gives it its character, but you don't want these big divots and stuff in it. So I sat down on the floor and I went through every single box, and the Lowe's guy came up and he was like, excuse me, ma'am, but really? I'm like, yes, I have several ladies depending on perfect coasters. So anyway, so this is a coaster that I picked up. Of course, you can get the flat ones as well, but the shinier ones. But this is a porous tile. Really excited about it. I've got my Joyful Christmas stamp set. I've mounted it. I'm going to have all of the dimensions and the sizes, well, dimensions 4x4 of my tile, right? I'm used to doing cards. But I'm going to have all of the information on my website, brandyscards.com, so you'll be able to see all the products that I used today so that you can recreate it at home. So I've got Versamark. Now there's a couple different ways you can do this. You could stamp your flower in StazOn ink. StazOn ink is a permanent ink. Stampin' Up sells this. It's a permanent ink. You can stamp it on there, let it dry, and then you can color it. But what I've decided to do was, how about embossing it? It will give it a little bit more of a raised look, and I liked that. So I did it both ways, and of course I will show you both ways. I've got Versamark here, okay, and that's going to leave your watermark. Now when you go to stamp it, what you have to think about is the porous area and the divots on your tile. So where are you going to put your greeting so that it shows your whole greeting? Otherwise it'll kind of look, it can look broken, which that's okay, but you still want to be able to read your greeting. So for example, if you take a look at this one, right in here, my Joyful Christmas, there was a little divot right there, and I didn't like it as well as my second one. But it doesn't look bad by any stretch of the means, but you definitely want to kind of figure out where you're going to place your flower. So I've inked it up, and I think I am going to go for this top corner here, and it's really entirely up to you. I'm just going to stamp it straight down and straight up. Now you can see it a little bit, but not quite yet. So you just kind of have to do the best you can. I've also got the leaf here, and I kind of liked it going off of my coaster. One thing that I did realize is that you want to make sure that you stamp your leaf up in your flower, because a couple of them I stamped a little bit further away from my flower, and it pretty much looked like a really pretty flower with a floating leaf. Yeah, it's not bad for me. So anyway, we're going to set this one here. That's pretty. And so I think that I am actually going to do, I'm going to do 3 leaves here. So there's my 3 leaves. Now I've got my, my Joyful Christmas mounted. I'm just going to try to clean it off. Looks like I've got a few hairs on there. Not sure where those came from. So I'm going to go ahead and ink that up with Versamark. And let's see, I might even turn my tile. And I'm just kind of looking at how my flower is stamped. And so that's just kind of it, you know, even though I had planned it being in a different corner, the way that the flower was stamped, it just worked out better putting it right here. So, you know, just kind of just play with it and see. I've got some black embossing powder. And, you know, typically we would use our embossing buddy, but, you know, on these tiles, quite honestly, we can just tap it right back off onto the table. Do you guys see that? So we're just adding black embossing powder. We're getting it good and you know, getting it all inked up there, I suppose you should say, or embossed up here. So now what we're going to do, we've got the embossing powder on there. I highly recommend tapping it back off onto your table because that just dropped a bunch more embossing powder right here on my station. So anyway, you want to get it good and you know, good coverage with your embossing powder. And if you guys haven't used the new Stampin' Up heat gun, let me tell you, it rocks. I hadn't used it until I got to my Stampin' Getaway. I pulled it out of the box and pretty much the ladies and I all agreed that this thing rocks. It's got 2 settings on here, 1 and 2. 1 is for drying and then 2 is for more of the embossing and the melting of the powders and things. Awesome. All right, so yes, I am gonna just emboss. So basically, I'm not going to emboss this whole thing because it's going to take me 5, if maybe even 8 minutes to really emboss this. And the reason is because this tile has to heat up. Unlike paper, which heats up really fast, it's going to take a while to heat this tile. And once the tile gets good and hot, then you will see it'll start to melt and it'll start to work its way through the entire tile. But we're not going to go ahead and do the whole thing because, again, it will take way too long. And I know what you guys really want to see is how I colored this thing. So I'm going to pull in one that I've already embossed. And it turned out beautifully, right? Love it. It's nice and shiny. It's real pretty. And so this one I did not emboss. So I'm excited to see the difference. Now, what do you need to do this? You know, I've had friends that have done craft inks. People can do Sharpies. I know alcohol markers work as well. I am a big fan of the, I keep saying the blender pender, but that's not what it is. It's called a blender pen. They come in a pack of 3. We have these at Stampin' Up. Now, the key to this, though, is you want maybe a newer one or one that's got a lot of ink in it, because when you get one that maybe is a little bit more dry, it doesn't distribute your color quite as well. So I have got the Stampin' Up pastels, so really pretty colors there, chalks, okay? So I have the chalks, I've got my porous tile, it's already embossed, and now all I'm gonna do is I am gonna take my blender pen and I'm gonna start depositing some of my ink on here. And so I will pick this up and show you. It just looks so pretty. Now the thing is as you're doing this, you want to make sure that you do 1 whole coat of light. So we're doing red and we're just kind of putting 1 good coat of light red on here. And then we're going to go in and we're going to add some more detail. And I'll show you exactly how we're going to do that when we get to that. So we're just going to keep on going here. And so the Joyful Christmas stamps that I have to tell you while I'm doing this and while y'all are watching the magic take place. The Joyful Christmas stamp set is absolutely beautiful. I've seen a lot of really neat things done with it, and I'm excited to share with you a 3D flower that one of my dear friends and team members, Leah, had made for the Stampin' Getaway. So that is also, the tutorial is in the Getaway magazine. It's also on her website, so I'll share that with you. And then I'm excited to show you some packaging that I did with these coasters. So you can see exactly how awesome you can package these things and give them away as a gift. All right. Speaking of gift, does anybody's husband's looking for something that they might like to get you for Christmas? Yeah, if so, well, I am selling Stampin' Up! Gift certificates. Really excited about that. I've got Stampin' Up! Gift certificates, so shoot me an email and you can purchase a gift certificate in which I will send your husband. He can tell me exactly where to send the card, so I will send him a card so he doesn't even have to make the card. He can sign it and he can put the gift certificate in there, and then I know that y'all will be just as excited as I would. And then when you get that, you can just send me an email and you can redeem it that way. It's pretty easy. So I'm excited to have those this year, and they are available. All he has to do is go to brandyscards.com and click on the little question area and shoot me an email, and we're good to go. All right, so I'm going to keep on trucking here. I'm adding more of the, I'm just adding red. I'm not doing anything other than that. And I'm doing one light coat. So you'll notice that because my blender pen is, it's good and inked up, it's definitely one of the better ones. I just took it out of the package. So the color is really, it's layering on here beautifully. So a lot of times what I tell the gals, just kind of let it dry a little bit, and then you can get back in here and bring in some more color and make it a little bit of a richer color. So take a look. There we go. See that? Pretty. So we're doing good. Again, go back in and take your red, and now all you're doing is you're just adding some depth. So you want lights and darks because you want it to look like a real flower. So don't worry about, you don't want to just cover the whole thing one solid color, although you can, of course. And if you did this with a Sharpie, then there is obviously no lights and darks. So you're going to get the same color tone on the entire thing. So it's entirely up to you how you decide to do that. You can also sponge the color on with a sponge dauber. So that's another way that you can do it as well. So I'm doing good. I'm just going to keep on going. Now, one thing, as you're doing this, I do want to point out that the color is going to look pretty dull, and you're going to be like, mine doesn't look like hers. Well, it's probably not going to until the very end. So I am just going to throw that right out there, tell you right up front, you are not going to get that wow until you seal it. I promise you that. All right? So just keep that in mind. Don't get tripped up. Just keep on trucking is what I tell the girls. Just keep on going. All right, so I'm going to throw a little bit of something else in here. So, they say that you can use Sharpies and things, and you need a marker like an alcohol marker or something that color is going to absorb. But what I had in my stash is I actually had some fabric Sharpies, fabric markers. And so if you can see here, it's very pretty the way it is. But if you take these fabric markers, and I'll show you when I add it to some of these petals, really all I'm doing is I'm just kind of going along the outline of my flower, and it just adds that pop of depth. I don't know how to explain it other than that, but it just adds a little something to that. So as you can see me doing this here, it just really is pretty. And so it's in the Sharpie family. These are fabric Sharpies. And so it's really putting the color on here beautifully. And so you're just going to kind of go along and outline each one of these, and literally, I mean, we're almost halfway done with this one. And so if you think, if you did four coasters for somebody's living room, be beautiful. Absolutely a beautiful gift, a homemade special gift, which I love. All right, so I've got 2 more petals here to do. Can you guys see that pop on there? See that? So I haven't done those 2, but I've kind of outlined the other 2. And it just, and you could even start coloring in some of the petals. Again, it's all about that lights and darks and adding those shadows. Stampin' Up! Has done a great job showing you where the shadows are supposed to be, but you can, color it in a little bit here and there. Now we're going to go for the green. So you've got two sides to your blender pen. You can just take and rub it off onto the table and change the colors, but instead I'm just going to go ahead and use the other side because I am going to be making a bunch more of these as for gifts. I'm excited to share these with my mother-in-law. So, and I'm excited to show you, I made her some last year using the, is it called the season of Christmas or something like that. Scenic Scene, that's what it's called, Scenic Scene. It was absolutely beautiful. It was that, it was kind of like a tree scene, and it had a bird kind of flying over the trees. It was stunning, and she absolutely loved them. And so then I decided to pull out my Lovely as a Tree, which I know several of you have bought that stamp set from me recently for some of your Christmas cards. So I'm really excited about that. You might want to think about trying that stamp set on these coasters. All right. So I am finishing up with the green, and then we'll go ahead and we'll add our yellow, and I'm going to show you exactly how to seal these and get these to pop. All right. So we're just going to do the center right here. There we go. There we go. Take a look at that. See, it's already coming along beautifully. So with that said, I also have, I'm going to just wipe my brush off here really quick because I'm going to want to go in and pick up a little bit of yellow. I've also got my green fabric marker. And again, do you need these? Absolutely not. But what I found is it just adds another bit of tone and another bit of depth that I couldn't achieve just with my chalks alone. Okay, so there's no really rhyme or reason as to where or why I'm putting it. I'm just kind of coloring it in. No big deal. And so speaking of that, we're going to put gems in the center, I think. So I'm not even going to use the yellow. Check this one out. So this one I put gems in the center, pretty. So I think I'm going to stay right along with that theme because I want to give these as a gift. So now what do we do? All right, so there's a couple different ways that you can do this. I know you can put these in the oven on foil and you can bake them, I believe it's at 350, 3 to 350 for 20 to 30 minutes. I've seen all kinds of variations. So if you go out and do a little bit of research, I've seen, everywhere from 350 to 30 minutes to 320 minutes. And if you bake them, they say that that will set the color. The other thing that you can do is you can use some Krylon, some matte finish Krylon, and that is a sealer. You want to do this outside and you want to make sure it's well ventilated because that stuff is definitely stinky. And you're going to want to basically, you're going to want to spray your tile at a distance. That is very important that you spray it at a distance, otherwise the colors will bleed and it will run. All right, so the other thing, and then I've had people say to me, well, Brandy, if I seal this whole tile, then it's not going to be, porous and absorbent right through here, and it's going to kind of lose that, lose that character. So I started to think about that, and I thought, why not do crystal effects? Stampin' Up! Sells crystal effects. This stuff is awesome. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your crystal effects, and instead of using the Krylon, you're just going to take your crystal effects and just start filling in your coaster. Now I know a couple of you are thinking, okay, so she didn't put her jewels on yet, or how is she going to get those jewels to stay down? Well, crystal effects is some fabulous stuff, and so we're going to use the crystal effects to hold our jewels in place. And I haven't had any problem with them because that crystal effects, once you stick it in there, they're pretty stuck. So as you can see here, I'm coloring the whole tile. It's looking really good. And watch as I do that, the color just really starts to pop. So you can see where I've colored it, or when I've added the crystal effects and where I haven't. And I promise you, once that dries, that's when you'll be like, wow, that is so cool. So at my getaway, the ladies were doing all kinds of things. They were using animals. They were using some of the cars and things for dads and friends. I saw sentiments. I think one young lady did bicycles. It was really, really cute, the bicycle stamp set. I think it's in one of the happy birthday sets. So there are so many things that you could do. And as I was preparing for today, I thought to myself, my mom loves horses. And this would be a fabulous birthday gift for her, and maybe like throughout the year for her birthday, to have some coasters on the table that have horses on them. And I think that could be done beautifully. So here we go. So this has now been Crystal Effects. I've covered the whole thing. I wouldn't worry too much about the divots. I don't think you really need to fill them in. What we're gonna do next is I've got some Stampin' Up! Jewels, and this is where I would add my jewels. And you know, there's really no right or wrong way, just stick some jewels on there. I think what I liked best is 1 in the center and 5 around it. But you know, as you guys know, when you get crafting and you realize, oh, I forgot this or I didn't color that in, you might get an extra jewel or 2 on there and nobody knows the difference, the wiser. So I wouldn't get tripped up on that. And I'm actually using the medium-sized ones. So you can use whatever you'd like. I'm using the tip of my scissors, to pull the jewel up, and then I am placing it right here on my coaster. So, and the other thing you'll experience, as I just did, is they will slide, okay? And if you have any Crystal Effects, anything stuck to your fingers, they will slide, and they will stick to your finger and not your tile. That's just the nature of the beast. So you're just going to have to use your poker tool or your scissors, move it around until you get them perfectly on there. So I'm going to give you a really quick sneak peek how pretty that looks. And then when it dries, this is what it looks like when it dries. Yeah, pretty awesome. So it does look a little, right now it looks a little foggy maybe, or, you know, but once it dries, it will dry clear and it will dry absolutely beautiful. And, you know, notice the difference between the one that was embossed and the one that wasn't. So it's, you know, it's entirely up to you what you decide to do with that. Either way works perfectly fine. All right, so let's move on, and let me just show you guys how I package this. So what I did is, you guys know that I love to package things, right? Because I'm excited to give these as a gift. So I went and I purchased these boxes. And you can see they're really easy to put together. You just kind of fold this in, fold your little tabs, and you can make this fabulous box. But the neat thing about this box is it actually holds 4 of your coasters. And so here you can see I've taken the same stamp set, which you could make a beautiful card out of this as well. I've taken the same stamp set that we just used on our coaster. See that? Same stamp set, flat, a little bit 3D here. And I've just made a belly band. I can slip that right off. I can open up my box, and then you can have 4 coasters on the inside. So now you have a gift. How cool is that? All right, so now that I did that, I just realized that you guys are probably thinking, okay, that's gonna scratch my aunt's table. Yeah, you're right. You're gonna wanna make sure that you can die cut cork if you want to with your Big Shot. If you've got some cork, you can die cut that, hot glue it to the bottom, or you can go and buy these little felt circles. They work perfectly. You'll just take them off, stick them to each corner of your coaster, and they work great. So that's what I would recommend. It's pretty easy. You can also take a Sharpie or your Stampin' Up! Name stamp, because we do have some personalized stamps. Stamp it on the back of your coaster, sign your name, and put the year, right? So that way, you know, Aunt Susie knows that you made it in 2013, right? So that is available to you as well. So let's look at some of the other coasters I've done. So let's pull this one out. This one I thought was really cool. This was done with the 5th Avenue floral stamp set. Stampin' Up! Doesn't sell this stamp set any longer, but we have plenty of flowers that this would work beautifully with, okay? But this is on one of the more flat, non-porous type tiles. And again, it's the exact same process, and it's beautiful. You get a couple different looks. And then I mentioned the Scenic Scene stamp set earlier. So check this one out. This was from the Scenic Scene. Absolutely beautiful. It was the exact same process. I stamped in black, used a little bit of green chalk and kind of did the sides of it. And then I took a two-way glue pen. Two-way glue pen, Stampin' Up sells them, awesome stuff. Just did a little bit of a swirly do and then added my dazzling diamonds, and then I sealed it. And you know, we're talking, this has been a couple of years now, 2 or 3 years, and I mean, my glitter is still on there, so I'm really excited about that. And then of course, for those of you that have purchased the Lovely as a Tree stamp set, this is the single tree and Lovely as a Tree. I thought it turned out beautifully. This one I just put on here, you know, I just kind of picked my own sentiment. So this one really wasn't necessarily for Christmas. You know, it's to kind of set out any time. This one, I love this nativity scene, and I found some of that, like fluffy type paint that dries with some attitude or some, you know, stiffness on there. And I was excited. I put that on there, and I sealed it, and it works beautifully. And it actually looks like the little sheep have, you know, they have some fur right there. So I thought that was really cool. So those are just a few variations that you can do. And I'm going to show you one more. But this one has not been glazed, so the color hasn't popped yet. But this is absolutely gorgeous. And this was from a Hostess stamp set when I first started Stampin' Up. I kept this stamp set because I loved it so much. And I just think that it is just a stunning flower. But again, open up your Stampin' Up catalog because we have lots of pretty flowers. This one just happened to be sitting on my desk, and I thought I would show it to you. All right, so I think that wraps up today's video. I hope that you've enjoyed it. I have a lot more to share with you from Pinehurst, so I hope that you stay tuned. And if you're interested, you can absolutely purchase my Stampin' Up Getaway magazine today. Of course, Christmas is right around the corner, so if you would like a gift certificate, let me know. I can fill out a gift certificate, and I can mail your husband, your friend, a card from Stampin' Up. I can even sign it from you if you'd like me to mail it directly to them. But I do have these gift certificates available for whatever monetary amount you would like. So that is available to you as well. If you need a catalog, let me know. I'll send that to you along with the gift certificate. So I appreciate you stopping by, and I hope you've enjoyed today's project, and have a great day.